93 Boxing. I'm back with a quick video. Now, let's talk about Kell Brook. Kell Brook, apparently he was thinking about retirement. He's also thinking about whether he should or shouldn't move up to 154. He seems very wary of making 154. Now, we've always talked about Kell Brook being a big guy and having advantage. He's a big, strong guy. If you're too big to make 147, then you're not a 147 fighter. You're a 154 fighter. Simple as. Then you need to go out and fight 154. Otherwise, make weight. Simple as. But Kell Brook, I feel like he could make weight a bit better if he stays in shape. But this is the main thing I want to get into. We've never seen Kell Brook take a loss that was not good for his career. The loss he took against Golovkin was, he made the excuse that it is Golovkin. And at the end of the day, you have to give him that. Golovkin would beat pretty much every welterweight out there. But we have not seen Kell Brook taking a loss like that before. He finally lost to Errol Spence. Kell Brook before was fighting bums, right? But he wasn't really a big name, so all those things were not on the spotlight, so people didn't really notice all that. Now Kell Brook is back to kind of like in a low point in his career. We've seen fighters coming back from losses, right? Whenever you mention Kell Brook, you think about Amir Khan because that's the guy Kell Brook associated himself with. Amir Khan bounced back from defeats. He did his thing, right? We can say what we want about him, right? Oh, he glass chin, blah blah blah. He fought punches at the end of the day. He took a loss. Kell Brook fought punches. Every time he fought punches, he got KO losses as well. We've seen Amir Khan bounce back, right? Multiple times. This is the first time we have to see Kell Brook bounce back. And the critical thing about this is there's certain guys that are complete bums, right? There's certain guys that are on a level like a Diego Chavez, like a Jesse Vargas maybe, who are pretty good fighters. They're well-level fighters, but they are not considered to be that so good like an elite fighter, like a top fighter, like a Errol Spence, like a Keith Thurman, like a Danny Garcia, like a Amir Khan, like a Sean Porter, like all that, right? So the problem with fighting these Jesse Vargas and Diego Chavez type guys is they're kind of higher risk and low reward, or at least not as much reward. Keith Thurman fought these guys, Danny Garcia fought some of these guys, not exactly those names, but people of those level. Mauricio Herrera, Lamont Peterson. Lamont Peterson is actually kind of on the higher level of those fighters that are high risk, low reward. Now, fighters with big name, they're not gonna go out there and fight Kell Brook because these fighters have a lot to lose. They might fight Kell Brook. I don't see why they would. Can you see a Danny Garcia suddenly fighting Kell Brook now? Or anytime soon, unless Kell Brook bounces back from the defeat? Can you see Errol Spence rematching him anytime soon? Can you see Keith Thurman fighting him? If Amir Khan doesn't fight him, which elite fighter, which big name fights Kell Brook? No one, because Kell Brook to them is the risk is high for the reward. Now, Kell Brook, he has two options. He could fight these Jesse Vargas, this Diego Chavez. Also, of course, he can fight a bum here and there, but Jesse Vargas is maybe Diego Chavez, maybe I don't know, man. You see these type of fighters that I'm talking about, the level of fighters. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but someone like maybe a Lamont Peterson. I think Lamont Peterson's better than a Diego Chavez. Maybe not, but those level of fighters, right? The fighters that are kind of Soto Karass. Soto Karass, yeah, he is at Robert Guerrero level who retired. Omar Figueroa. Those type of fighters that are good, but they're not up there. That's what I'm talking about. Kell Brook could fight that, and he needs to fight that for his career to be successful, right? He needs to fight fighters like that. He needs to make his career successful. Because when you fight fighters like that, you're going to get more props. Yeah, there's more risk, but you're going to get more props. You're going to get better experience, right? These fighters prepare you better for a high-level fighter than a bum. So these fighters will prepare you for Keith Thurman better than Frankie Gavin would prepare you for Keith Thurman. These guys will, as an example, right? And also, they're more known. Diego Chavez is more known than a Jojo Dan. You got Jesse Vargas is more known than a Jojo Dan. All these fighters are kind of a bit more known than these fighters. So obviously there's a bit more money involved. And these sort of fighters are willing to come to the UK at times. But at times, Kell Brook has to go out there and fight in the States. I feel like he definitely could do that. This is an opportunity where he can really shape his career. Really shape his career. So that will be the right move, So he would do that. He will build up a strong resume, or at least make the resume stronger than it is right now. Because, Keith Thurman, for example, right, he's fought Danny Garcia and Sean Porter. These are the two A-level fighters that he's fought. Otherwise, he hasn't fought really too many of them. But he still has fought guys that are on the on the B levels. The Diego Chavez, the Soto Corraz, the Julio Diaz, the Luis Calazo. Kell Brook versus Luis Calazo is a good fight. I feel like Kell Brook can win the fight. Those type of fighters, right? These fighters can be risky. These fighters can have success against you. Right, Diego Chavez was having success. He was winning rounds on Thurman. Soto Corraz, again, he had a few success. I remember he landed a shot and Thurman kind of got rocked a bit. Julio Diaz I think he had very little success, but Keith Thurman did a job on him. And then you have, who's the other one that I missed out? Luis Calazo. Luis Calazo had success against Keith Thurman. See what I'm trying to say? These guys are not pushovers. And they prepare you better. They make you more experienced. But there's also something else Kell Brook could do. Something I would not recommend, and as a fan, I definitely don't want to see. I wouldn't mind him fighting these type of oppositions occasionally, and I would prefer him to fight these type of oppositions first, and then fighting someone. I'm not saying I would prefer it. I'm saying that's what Kell Brook needs to do. That he needs to fight a bomb first, and then needs to go to some decent fighters. Look, the second option I'm talking about is basically Kell Brook fighting bums like he did in his early career. Now this will be a very difficult to do. I feel like, and this is my honest opinion, I feel like Kell Brook wants to fight these bums. He wants to go out there and fight these bums. Because that's what he was kind of destined to do. If you look at his resume, it's just I feel like he fought Golovkin because Errol Spence became his mandatory, and then he fought Errol Spence because he had no choice. So he would want to fight bums, but this time compared to his early part of his career, or at least most of his career, where he fought bums, this time all eyes are on Kell Brook. Kell Brook has no option in terms of actually he has an option. He can do what he wants, but people will now see him and he will get discredited. He's going to fight bums and people are going to say, oh my God, this guy's back at it again. This guy is shit. All the success that he had will be wiped out if he fights bums, in my opinion. That's the thing, right? Kell Brook, he could fight bums, could build up a padded record. And within the UK fan base, he could make some money. He could make some money. And all he has to do is call out Amir Khan. He won't call out anyone else if he does that, right? Because, he might call someone out knowing that the fight won't happen because they won't come to the UK. Amir Khan's the only high-level fighter, in terms of name, who would come here to the UK because he's from the UK to fight Kell Brook. No Danny Garcia, no Keith Thurman, no Sean Porter in a rematch. Sean Porter might come to the UK, but I doubt. None of these guys are going to come to the UK. And, Jesse Vargas wanted more money to come to the UK. Kell Brook might end up fighting bums and then call out Amir Khan. People are going to think Amir Khan's stalking Kell Brook. Kell Brook could do that. He could really do that, Should he do that as a fan? No. It'd be quite smart, though, because if you think about it, Kell Brook can get away calling out Amir Khan. Kell Brook was getting away calling out Amir Khan when Amir Khan was not in his own weight division. The whole British public pretty much wanted to see Kell Brook versus Amir Khan, and they thought Amir Khan was the reason why the fight wasn't happening, and Kell Brook was the warrior for calling out Amir Khan, the true spirited warrior, when he was at 147 and Amir Khan was at 140 though. And then Kell Brook wasn't really calling anyone out at 147. The only guy he was calling out was the guy that's weight division below him. See what I'm trying to say? Kell Brook, man. But he could do that. He could do that. I personally think he's in a crossroad right now. He can't go up to 154. He has to stay at 147, in my opinion. He really has to. I feel like if everyone was at a weight division where they feel comfortable at, a bit more comfortable, like Kell Brook at 154, he'll get annihilated. I feel like Kell Brook's a junior middleweight where he didn't look too much smaller than Triple G. Yeah, he looked a bit smaller, but not too much. And I know his muscles and everything, and he's not a real middleweight, but then he's just junior middleweight, really. He's a junior middleweight. But yeah, let me know what you think. Do you think highly of Kell Brook? Do you think he's gonna bounce back from this defeat in great fashion without fighting too many bums? Do you think he's gonna fight some decent fighters to bounce back from defeats? Do you think his next two at least, will have one decent fighter? Doesn't have to be a A-level fighter. One decent fighter, do you think? 93 boxing. Don't forget to answer that. Don't forget to comment on the video, like the video, and subscribe. I'm out.